Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Rumbleslam on the channel, and we're bringing a new team onto the video today called the Mighty Madcaps. We'll talk more about them in a second, going up against the Heavy Pounders from the starter box, although they have brought a ringer in the form of a creepy clown, because why not? Once again, playing around about the million dosh recommended, with one event card thrown in for free. Normally they cost 50k of your funding, but just to keep things interesting, thrown in for free. So with that, let's take a look at the two sides and get things underway. So this is almost all the Mighty Madcaps box. I feel like the lighting is a little bad from here. It doesn't look as bad for me, but it does on the video. Anyway, you actually get more than the million dosh worth in the box. There's one extra little goblin, and I think it comes to 1.1 mil in total. So I had to drop one of them to keep it under the million, so this is 950, I think. Yeah, I think it's about that, or 935, something like that. So we have the hench room, which is the gigantic big guy at the back here. We have the juicer, which is the mushroom growing out of an orc. And we have the sporing goblin, their names, right down here. And then we have toadstool peddler right here. He's been given the orcs mushrooms, and sometimes there's ill effects. I'm not sure how they'll do it. They don't, on paper they don't seem as strong as like Peyote Pete or the Pipinyama, but they're very tanky. They've got a lot of stamina. The dice they roll, except for the big guy, the hench room, are pretty bad. Like the sporing goblin is a single copper +1 sometimes. His dex rolls 3 copper, which is bad, I suppose. But yeah, their dice rolls in general aren't great. The only person who rolls any gold is the hench room, and only when he's attacking. It's 2 gold +1, which is really good. But I think it comes down to them wanting to buff each other and stay together, thanks to some of their special passives they have that we'll see as we go. For the record, they are part of the Rolling Bones casino, I believe it is. Yep, yeah it is. And they have the new form cards that we pull back a little bit, which are longer and have a lot more information on the front of them, which is pretty handy. And over here we have the Heavy Pounders. We've seen them on the channel before, but they've dropped the 2 halflings for the creepy clown, aka Chuck. So they're not all from the Kaiser's Palace casino, as he is from Gomorrah's, but either way, they're coming along. Nothing much to say about them. Overall, they're definitely rolling better dice. Stamina wise, they've got less overall, except Chuck, but he's a star player or star wrestler, so that's what you would expect. And we'll see how they do. They'll pick their corners, and then we'll be back at the start of the match. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. And so round 1 of a potential 5 begins, with the Mighty Madcaps set up in the top left and the Heavy Pounders plus Chuck to the bottom right. The Heavy Pounders picked their human brawler to roll their dex roll, silver and bronze, managed to get the best possible result on a copper and got 3. The Mighty Madcaps picked their sporing goblin, who rolls 3 copper dice for his dex roll. It's actually, well, I don't know what's better, 3 copper or silver plus copper. Either way, he rolled snake eyes. Nothing, well, not even snake eyes, he rolled absolutely nothing on those 3 copper dice. And so the Heavy Pounders will be going first with the human brawler, and let's get things underway. Ding ding, round 1. So the human brawler went a little bit of a trip around the board there. He spent 1 AP to bounce off the rope 5, then he moved his 4 up to where you can see him still touching this end of the rope, or ring. He then used 2 of his AP because he's popularity 2. Actually, he was popularity 1, but never mind, doesn't have anything else to do with his turn anyway. To do his crowd pleaser, he did get a cheer. The crowd are hyped, so he successfully did, well, it doesn't have a fancy name, but every friendly wrestler's rope attacks deal +1 damage until the end of this wrestler's next activation. So that might not really matter for turn 1, but it certainly will for turn 2. Get a little star to put next to him on the board, just to try and remember that. So the sporing goblin just moved across the upper rope there, not really wanting to get in close, but staying where he can potentially be adjacent to teammates later. He has 4 AP, he spent it across 2 uses of debilitating spores. You roll 1 silver die, and on a 1+ success, place a counter of your choice on 1 enemy wrestler with no range limitations. He can just pick a wrestler. So his first roll was against the human brawler to give him a -AP counter, that's a little red star, and he did it. So that's 1 less AP when he activates in round 2. The second attempt was to get a minus AP counter on Chuck, just to reduce the number of things he can do, because Star Wrestlers, they're usually very powerful, but they don't have a lot of AP. But he rolled a blank on that, so it did not work. Now, they don't have to set who they activate, it's back and forth, so back over to the Heavy Pounders. Oh, before we move on, I just noticed that I've mixed up the Brawler and the Grappler. So what I'm going to do is swap their positions, because everything that happened with the Brawler was meant to happen with him. I was moving the Grappler by mistake. So he is still up there, he has still activated. I was just using the wrong miniature by mistake. Apologies, that's what I get for not paying enough attention to just, like, they don't look as fancy as mushroom monsters. So after fixing that little error, the Ogre activated for the Heavy Pounders, moving out one of his 4 movement or 3 movement? 3 movement. Bouncing off the ropes, moving 5, and then moving his last 2 to get, actually is that enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Yep, it is enough to get diagonally in contact with the Gob Shroom, and then he had 2 AP left, with which he spent them both on a choke slam, 1 gold, 1 silver, getting only a result on the silver. Again, the gold dice only have 1 fail on them, and yet you wouldn't think that with how often I roll them. But the Sporing Goblin only has a copper +1 grapple stat. His stats are terrible for what he rolls. So it did land, no beatdown or anything, but that is 2 damage of his 5 stamina, and, which is potentially more dangerous for him, it knocks him down. Do it that way. It has knocked him down. Now I don't think anyone can get to him to try and pin him this turn, but he'll want to activate early next round to make sure he doesn't just instantly get yeeted from the match. So we're going to have to do his turn in a couple of steps because of how much dice is going to be involved. The Juicer activated and tried to do his Crowd Pleaser, which he succeeded at. It is called Red Mist. The wrestler gains Fury on all of his attacks until the end of the round. He normally has a passive called Fungi Fury, just where his basic brawl attacks have Fury, but now everything he does has Fury. He has 5 AP, by the way. He's very slow, 3 movement, but 5 AP. So then he spent a second on Lamella Linebreaker, which is a rope attack with Rocket. So he flies forwards 8 spaces unless he hits someone, which he did. In this case, he hit into the Ogre. 1 silver, 2 copper for a potential 1 damage, not super much. And unfortunately for him, anyway, he rolled 2, and the defense on the Ogre successfully blocked it without turning it into a reversal at the very least. But he's now going to start punching, and to trigger the Fury roll, it does have to successfully land a hit, I believe. Yeah, successful hit. Yes, so that doesn't count, because I presume it doesn't count because it didn't get through his defense. But he's going to start punching now, and if he does any damage with any of his punches, he is going to get to do a second one for free without using up any AP. Now, I presume he's still going to have to please the crowd for doing too many of the same thing in a row when it comes to that, because he's just going to brawl attack now. But we'll have to be rolling a lot of dice. It's going to be 3 silver dice each time for him, versus 3 silver dice on defense for the Ogre. So I'm just going to have to recap once we're all done. Well, this fun guy was throwing Fists of Fury. His first attack got through for, I think, a couple of damage because it was a beatdown by 1. Remember, brawl attacks just do 1 base damage. Which gave him a free one. He did that. I think it did 1 more damage. He had to roll the crowd die. Again, the rulebook doesn't specifically say whether or not a Fury attack counts towards the doing too many of the same thing in a row, so you have to make sure the crowd's on your side. So the assumption is yes, it is. If that's wrong, then this is going to be a lot less damage and a lot less attacks than he should have got. But rolled the first Crowd Pleaser. He was allowed to do a third one. He did it. He got another point of damage. He did another free one, and it was not done to completion because the crowd booed. Because when you get to the 4th instance of doing the same thing, you have to roll 2 crowd dice instead of 1, and both of them have to be cheers, which is pretty hard to do. That said, though, if that is wrong, then he is capable of doing a ridiculous amount of damage because he already did real well. 10 stamina on the Ogre, he's got 6 left, and considering each brawl attack was only doing 1, you have to get a beat down for it to do more. That was pretty good. Rather abrupt and kind of disappointing turn followed for Chuck the Killer Clown next. He used his 4 movement to move adjacent to the rope down here, then spent all 4 of his AP, which he wouldn't have been able to do had the spore affected him, on his drive-by clothesline with the jump and rocket roll. So he fired forwards 8 spaces into the Juicer, and it's gold +1, so you only got 3, versus copper +1, which in most situations would result in the gold die roller being the victor, but not here. 4 versus a total of 3 is 0 damage, and that used up all his AP, so he's doing nothing else. Second last activation for the Mighty Madcaps was the Toadstool Peddler. He walked one space adjacent to the hench room that hasn't activated yet and paid 1 AP on Sporoids. Place a counter of your choice on one friendly wrestler in base contact. This can take them above the usual number of limited counters, but each wrestler may only be affected by the rule once per round. He gave 1 extra movement to the hench room, so it has 4 movement when it activates this round instead of 3. He moved back one space. He paid 1 more of his 4 AP to bounce 5, but he came to a stop just before Chuck, so he doesn't do a rope attack or anything like that. But then he did his grab attack, which is called Stash and Grab. Last 2 AP he had, he rolled 2 silver dice. He managed to get 4. Chuck's rolling 2 silver dice +1 as his defense, his grapple stat rather. So he wasn't able to block it. Takes 2 damage of his 8 stamina, so he's got 6 left. And it has the Fury roll, so the Toadstool Peddler now gets to do a free brawl attack, which requires silver dice, so we haven't rolled that out yet. Well, it might look like very little has changed, but I assure you the dice were rolled. 4 again on the Toadstool Peddler, this time just flat 2 silver dice for Chuck's defense. He rolled a 3, so it did get through for 1 more stamina damage, bringing him down to 5 remaining. And now it's over to the Human Grappler as the last activation of the first round for the Heavy Pounders. Well, unfortunately it was a disappointing go of it for the Human Grappler as well. Paid 1 AP to bounce off the rope to get him into a better position, where after his 4 movement he was behind the Mushroom Peddler, and then he spent his last 2 AP on attempting a leg lock, and if he'd gotten it, it would have reduced 2 movement points from the Peddler on his following activation, but he rolled blanks on his golden, silver and bronze. Luckily he gets a +1, that stopped it being a reversal on the Mushroom Peddler can't stop rolling 4 on 2 silver dice, it seems. But because of that +1, it means it's not a reversal at the very least. But he didn't really get anything done, and he's definitely in the threat radius of the final activation for the first round, which is the hench room. Oh, we are very pulled back to try and cover what the hench room did. He moved down, he didn't actually need that movement in the end. A bit of a mistake. If he'd been given a plus AP counter instead, he could have climbed the turnbuckle and done his very, very dangerous turnbuckle attack right from turn 1. But instead, he did a rope attack. He's got a special rope attack called Running Shroom Smash. 2 silver, 1 copper for 2 damage and 2 of his 4 AP. He rolled a total of 4 versus nothing on the Human Brawler's roll, because nothing ever goes their way. Sorry, the Human Grappler rather. I keep mixing them up. And that means he took 2 damage and has 4 stamina left. Now, then he's doing 2 brawl attacks. He still has 1 AP left after this, so depending on how this goes, the henchroom will do 1 more if the crowd is on his side. He rolls 2 gold +1, so he has already done his rolls. That's a 3, and that's also a 3, and it's against 2 silver each time. So let's see what the grappler can do. Well, he successfully draws on the first one, so nothing there. And then on the second one, goose eggs again, huh? Not beaten by more than 3 that time, so that's just 1 more stamina, which isn't bad. Puts him down to 3 remaining. And now it comes down to, is the crowd on the henchroom's side for him to do 1 last brawl attack into the... No, they booed him. They are not a fan of a mushroom beating a man to death. I don't know why, that sounds pretty cool, but either way, that is the end of the first round, and it did not go well for the Heavy Pounders. So at the top of round 2, the Heavy Pounders, they see the chance for a very fun play, but it would require the Ogre to go first, so they have selected him, and his roll of 2 copper has resulted in 3. The Mighty Madcaps picked their sporing Gobloom, who is still on the floor and is in great danger of being pinned because he's only weight 1, so the fact that he's conscious isn't really going to matter much. But he rolls 3 copper and he did manage to get 4, so he's going to be activating first, and we'll see what he can do. But the Ogre does have a good turn waiting inside him as long as he doesn't get debilitated in some fashion. The Heavy Pounders are also activating their event card in turn 2. Don't know what it is, we're going to see it now. I think you're supposed to do these first before Dex rolls, which we discovered last time, but either way, Superior showboatsmanship. For the rest of the game, both players must reroll all failed crowd dice, but cannot reroll a reroll. Oh, that just helps everybody. Booyah! Well, I'll keep that down here as a reminder, so all failed crowd dice rolls get re-rolled, huh? Yeah, it doesn't even say it has to be re-rolling like failed cheers, so that means it helps Chuck as well, because he's a heel, so he's looking for boos. So, okay, alright. So the Sporing Goblin activated, and it was mostly just about him being annoying rather than ruining plans. He spent 1 AP to stand up. He moved adjacent to the hench room. He paid 2 more AP on his debilitating shroom ability to try and put a minus counter on the ogre. It failed, but with the position he's moved into, he's ruined what was going to be a fantastic rope attack where there's enough room there that yes, it would hit one of his own or 2 of his own, but the ogre could have flown down here. He has devastating. It would have hit everybody for 4 damage if he'd got good enough rolls. It would have been bad for 2 of his team, but it would hit every single member of the opposing team, and it would have been fantastic. But that little so-and-so has just guaranteed that it can't quite happen to full effectiveness. Now, he's still probably going to do it, because there's a chance to do some serious damage to... Ooh, well, could either go after the hench room plus the Sporing Goblin, or go after the juicer and the Sporing Goblin. We'll have to see. Alright, all the dice have already been rolled, but he's still up on the turnbuckle for dramatic effect. The ogre activated, he walked up onto the turnbuckle and did his unique turnbuckle attack, which is called Belly Bomb Bonanza, which has the devastating roll. Doesn't have the crowd please roll like normal turnbuckle attacks if you just do the base one for 1 damage. But he flew off of there for 4, which lands him here because he can touch this enemy, and it has devastating, so he hits everyone in base contact, which is the juicer and the toadstool, the goblin. And the rolls have been made. This is for the goblin, this is for the peddler. In this case, it's a simple copper die against a result of 5, so that's plus 1 damage for 5 damage, but he had, what, 3 stamina left, so the base damage alone is enough that he is unconscious on the floor with 0 stamina remaining. The juicer, though, he is copper plus 1, so he got a 1, so he didn't get a beatdown, but he did take the 4 damage of his 9. He is tanky, though, so he's still got 5 left. Ogre's completely tapped for AP, so nothing else he can do. Next activation for the Mighty Madcaps was the hench room, the giant one, and he wants to take out the human grappler, doing a brawl attack on him. It's 2 gold plus 1, so he got 6 on his first one. Versus 4, so just a single point of damage through there, leaving him on 2 stamina. But then a 5 versus nothing is plus 1 damage, so that took off his last 2 stamina and knocked him out. Haven't pushed him over because he's probably about to go out the ring. The roll has already been made by the hench room. He is weight 3, so he's got a 3. So the only way for the grappler to survive is if he rolls a 3 on this. And of course he rolls nothing. So he is the first one out of there and will not be returning. So now they're down a man, and that's not looking good. You can tell I'm a bit rusty because just spotted another error for the heavy pounders. The ogre used 1 more AP than he should have had on his turn. Can't really go back now, but it was just a flat out mistake that because he used 1 AP to climb the turnbuckle, and his turnbuckle attack actually uses what is normally his full AP of 3. So to go forwards to penalise it a little bit, on his next activation he'll have 1 less. Not an ideal solution, but at least penalising in some way to reflect that genuine mistake there. So Chuck was up next for the heavy pounders. We're doing his turn in steps. He moved around the peddler in order to get adjacent to the Sporing Goblin. He attempted to pin him, rolling 2 because he's weight 2. Getting 2 successes, versus weight 1 for an unconscious Goblin, so he is also out of there. So both sides are down a man, although I think one side is going to feel it more than the other, to be honest, but that at least is someone out of there. Forgot to mention though, for successfully doing a pin, the hench room should have done his crowd pleaser. He did, and it succeeded. His is called Trippy. Until the end of the round, every friendly wrestler gains a bonus provided they are in base contact with this wrestler. When using the bonus, roll a crowd die. So it's not really going to matter for this round unless somebody goes adjacent to him, because it doesn't affect enemies. But Chuck just did a pin as well, so he gets to roll a crowd die. He's looking for boos, and it does say a failed one, yeah, so if he gets a boo it's still fine. He got a cheer, so that isn't what he wants. So we re-roll it because it is a fail, and it became a cheer still. So he still didn't get to do his free crowd pleaser, but moving there and doing that pin only cost 1 EP. He still has 3 left. Well, the Crazy Clown just started punching, specifically punching the Toadstool Peddler in the back of the skull, rolling 2 gold plus 1. So his first result of a 5 versus a defense roll of silver, bronze, and a roll of 1 means he did a beatdown of 4, or a difference of. So that's 1 extra damage. So he did 2 to him there. Then his next attack was much worse, only getting 2, but it's still better than rolling absolutely nothing. So he did the 1 flat damage there. So in total that's 3 damage, bringing the Toadstool Peddler down to 5 of his 8 stamina remaining. But he still has 1 EP left, so he wants to do it again. So he's going to try and see if the crowd boo him, which is what he wants as a heal. They cheered. We get the reroll though because of that event card that's in play. Oh, they're just constantly cheering. They're punch drunk. So he doesn't get to do anything else and his turn ends. Well, the Toadstool Peddler turned his attention to the Ogre, hoping to just get him down a little bit with grapple attacks. He doesn't really have any good options for going against the Ogre, incidentally, but he spent his 4 AP across 2 stash and grabs, because if any of them actually land, he'd get the Fury attack for a free brawl. 2 silver each time, but going against a silver gold. So his first one was a 1 versus a 3, not a reversal, but also no damage. His second roll is equally as bad, and we're going to roll the second defense roll live, see if it becomes a reversal, because there wasn't enough silver dice. Well, that would be a 4 versus a 1, so not enough for reversal, but still enough that he just laughs in Ogre and takes no damage, and no Fury proc either. So that still leaves the Juicer for them, but it's over to the Human Brawler, who's activating. His rope attacks are still doing +1 damage, but he has 1 less AP. Yeah, not moving. He has 1 less AP, so he's only working with 3. Let's see what we can do. Now, this could potentially be pretty good. So with 3 AP, he spent 2 of it on his clothesline, which has knockdown on it. 2 silver, 1 copper. Smashed into the Juicer for 4 versus his single copper +1. So he did get a 1 to stop it being a beatdown, but he took 2 damage from that, bringing him down to 3 stamina left, and he was knocked down. So for his last AP, because that cost 2, the Brawler is going to try and pin him. Now he could technically do a brawl attack against a defense of 0, but opting just to try and remove a threat, because he is annoying if he gets to start punching with his punching furies. So that's the defense roll against the pin. He's conscious, he has less than half stamina remaining, so it's just equal to that. So it's 2 copper versus 2 copper. So if this is better than a 1 in total, he's out of there. Haha. Things are turning around. Unfortunately for the Juicer, we're not going to get another chance to see him punch the living daylights out of someone. I am curious about that Fury roll and how it relates to like having to please the crowd to do the same thing over and over. But my favourite miniature for the Madcap, Mighty Madcaps, is out of there. And does a crowd please happen for him? You reroll because of the event. Yes, it does. So once again, until the end of his next activation, all rope attacks do +1 damage. Just as a random aside, the way his crowd pleaser is worded, every friendly wrestler's rope attacks do +1 damage until the end of this wrestler's next activation. What if he doesn't get an activation? What if he was like pinned or thrown out of the ring so he can't activate again? How does that work? I hope they've covered it somewhere, because that just seems like a random, well, rules as written. He hasn't had another activation, so his crowd pleaser is permanent now because you've taken him out of the ring. That isn't how we'd play it, but I'm just curious if it covers that anywhere. Oh, and the end of that round just kind of crept up on us because the Juicer had not activated, but he is out of there, speaking of which. So it is just to round 3, with both sides not looking super great. The Mighty Madcaps are obviously down 2 now, which is probably worse. The Ogre is getting low. Chuck has 5 stamina left. The Brawler hasn't been touched yet, but he doesn't exactly have a huge amount of HP. I think they might have it now, though, with the way that round swung, but let's see. At the top of round 3, the Henchroom was selected to try and go first with his silver copper, getting a result of 2. Chuck was selected for the other side, though, the Heavy Pounders, rolling 2 gold, and he got a 3. So Chuck will be activating first. However, the event card for the Mighty Madcaps will be getting used. Whatever it is, we don't know. It is Frozen with Fear. Your opponent picks one of your wrestlers for this round. That wrestler cannot be activated. See, again, this is why you're supposed to do these before you you roll your dex rolls, because obviously Chuck is being selected, so he's not going to get to activate this round. But I think we're going to say that someone else can at least try and roll a dex roll. We'll do the brawler with the silver bronze. And okay, so the brawler is going to activate first, but Chuck's not activating at all. That's bad. Well, the human brawler is going to try and repeat the feat of the last round by moving back to the ropes here, spending 2 of his 4 AP on his clothesline, remembering it's doing +1 damage because his crowd pleaser is still in effect, swinging into the toadstool peddler for a massive 6 versus 1, so that was a difference of 5 there, which would have done shove 2, but Chuck is in the way. +1 damage either way, so that's a total of 2 damage, leaving him on 3 stamina, but also knocked down. He then did a brawl attack, and because his target was knocked down, it's against 0, so that just got through for 1 more damage, leaving him on 2 stamina. And then he thought, I've got 1 AP left, why not try and pin him? So the defense roll for the pin has already been done, and it's nothing. So as long as one of these 2 copper dice is a result, that one just rolled off the screen. Well, so far so no. Let's see. It did. It became a 1. So the toadstool peddler, he got knocked down by the clothesline and pinned. And my second favourite miniature for the Mighty Madcaps, the mushroom peddler, toadstool peddler, is out of there, leaving just the henchroom. While the henchroom moved his back against the ropes, bounced off them for 2 to do his special rope attack, the running shroom smash. 2 silver, 1 copper, getting a result of 3. Going against the defense roll of the ogre of 3 silver. He did pretty well though, rolling a 6 on those, so no damage. Now he still has 2 AP left. He's going to do 2 brawl attacks, doing those separately just because of dice available. Still had to condense the results because there's only 5 silver dice, but a roll of 6 because it's +1 for his first attack, and just a roll of 3 for his second. First one got through for 1 damage though, going up against, it was 3 blank blank, and then 4 on the second one though, fully blocked it. No reverses, no beatdowns, but 1 more stamina damage gone, leaving the ogre with 5 stamina remaining, which is also how much Chuck has. But Chuck isn't allowed to activate this round, so it's just over to the ogre, and then that's it. Well, only having 2 AP kind of limited what the ogre could do as a penalty for messing up with him earlier, but that's gone now. So he did the only thing he really could do. He spent the 2 AP on a choke slam, 1 gold, 1 silver, doing very well with the results, getting 6, going up against the grapple stat of the henchroom, which is silver 2 bronze. He only got 2, so it hit him for 2 damage, bringing him down to 7 remaining, because he starts with 9. But more importantly, it knocks him down. The mushroom has fallen over, because the chokeslam has knockdown rule. Now, there's no one else who can activate, because Chuck's, not allowed to because of that event. But if they go first in the next round, he's got too much stamina left to just immediately try and pin him. He's probably too heavy to throw, so they're going to want someone like Chuck to activate and just beat him while he's down, going up against a defensive 0. Massive chance to do a lot of damage there with how much Chuck rolls for basic attacks. So that does take us to the end of round 3, so we're going into the penultimate round now and seeing how the dex rolls go. Well, at the top of round 4, the dex rolls went exactly how you would expect them to when someone is rolling 2 gold versus a bronze and silver. So Chuck is going to be the first to activate. Hopefully he's going to make up for not being allowed to activate last turn thanks to that Frozen with Fear event that's now gone. But the henchroom's in for a spot of bother. He's looking to get a lot of beatdowns here because he needs to just strip away that stamina and then go for the pin. Well, it is pretty easy to do at least some damage when you don't have to roll a defense roll, when you're just going straight through to what the result is. So Chuck is 2 gold plus 1. He's done his 2 brawl attacks that he can do for, without any hindrance. First one, 5, so that's a beatdown difference of 5 for +1 extra damage, so 2 stamina there. His next one was a beatdown difference of 6 for an extra 2 damage for a total of 3. All in all, leaving the henchroom with 2 stamina remaining. Now, I've been forgetting that you need to roll the crowd die to try and pin someone, but with the event on where you get to reroll a fail, it hasn't been super relevant really. But if Chuck goes for it here, it would be 3 copper in defense versus 2. Not impossible, but he could also just roll the crowd die with the reroll to beat him up one more time, because he's attacked twice. He could go one more time and still have 1 AP left to attempt a pin. So I think that's probably the best bet here. So we might as well just roll live for Chuck. So it's just straight damage. And that, that is 7. And that would be plus 2 damage, that's 3. Yeah, he's knocked him out. So that means it's now attempt to pin with a reroll. Wait, he's a heal, he wants boost. So yes, that is what he wanted. So he is going to attempt to pin, and it's against a single copper now because the henchroom is unconscious. So, and it's 2 for him. Oh, it's going to be very difficult to beat. I think the henchroom's going to survive. It's a draw. It has to be better than, I think. I'll double check, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the henchroom stays in it just barely. Kicks out just on the 3 count. Oh boy, did the henchroom get his revenge. So an unconscious wrestler was completely KO'd, has to roll a crowd die. If it gets a cheer, it wakes up with 1 stamina. Still knocked down, so it has to pay 1 AP to stand up. That left him with 3. He did 2 brawl attacks into Chuck's clown face, and is rolling 2 gold plus 1, so his first result was a 7 versus Goose Eggs from Chuck, which dealt enough damage to him that he was knocked down along with, I think it was a difference of 7, so plus 2 damage plus knockdown, so 3 damage in total from that. Second attack was going against a defense of 0, he got 4 there, so that's another plus 1 damage, and that took off Chuck's last 2 stamina, knocking him out. The henchroom then spent his last AP on a pin. Oh, didn't crowd die for that, again, forgot. And they're on his side, they don't like the clown. He pinned for 4, impossible to beat on a single copper die, so a bit of a Pyrrhic victory there. The henchroom was able to take Chuck out, but now he's probably going to get pinned by either the ogre or the brawler. Yep, ding ding ding, that is a wrap. The ogre activated, punched the henchroom in the teeth. Gold silver plus 1, so that's 6 versus the 3 on the defense roll, knocking him out again. Went for the pin with the reroll, was able to get the cheer that the crowd's on the side, and despite rolling a 3 again on the kicking out, against the weight 3 of the ogre, meaning he gets to roll 3 dice, he was not able to withstand the chonk and has been successfully pinned. So the 2 surviving members of the Heavy Pounders have taken it today, the ogre and the human brawler, for their team. So apologies once again for getting a couple of things wrong. Don't play Rumbleslam that often and totally forgot how much AP the ogre had. Hopefully the penalty applied at least made up for it a little bit, but it definitely did swing things in their favour, because his belly, what was it called, belly bonanza, belly bomb bonanza does do 4 damage, which is pretty rare to have an attack that does that much base. Although saying that, the henchroom, he has a turnbuckle attack called Mushroom Cloud that actually does the same damage as well. Yeah, so I guess that is roughly the average for a big guy, like the weight 3 people. But either way, there was a couple of errors there, and the Mighty Madcaps are obviously a new team as well. They don't seem as OP as the Pinata themed characters, that's for sure. They do seem to focus more on teaming up and providing each other buffs, so probably did it a bit wrong there. They needed to stay a bit closer together. They can give out lots of extra AP, and, well, saying that, yeah, you can give them lots of AP and lots of extra movement, but the dice they're rolling is still not that great in a lot of instances. Like, you're not usually getting better than 2 silver. With the one exception is the henchroom when he attacks, but I guess you could try and load him up with as many buffs as possible. Maybe that's the trick. Like, you really make him strong. Or the what's he called? The juicer? Yeah. The juicer with that fury roll. If that fury roll, if the free attacks provided by the fury roll don't count towards your dirty roll, as in you do too many of something so the crowd might turn on you, then he is a lot better than he appeared, because those extra fury attacks, he's rolling what, 2 silver plus 1? Oh no, he rolls 3 silver for his attack, which is pretty good for a basic guy. So yeah, if those fury attacks are truly free actions and don't count towards you having to keep the crowd on your side, he can dish out a ridiculous number of additional attacks that wasn't properly shown off here. He could have had at least 2 extra for the one like massive assault he did. It's like riding punching Senator Armstrong. He just keeps punching. That's what it seems like. I hope that sounds more fun to me than having to keep the crowd on your side, getting these bonus attacks. So I hope that's the way it plays. A quick glance at the Fury Roll did not clear it up. It's probably stayed somewhere else in the rulebook, so we'll look into it more for next time. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you did enjoy despite any little hiccups. Please do remember to show your support And if you would like to go above and beyond to support what we do here, consider becoming a channel member, checking out the channel sponsor, or pressing the thanks button. It all helps keep the lights on. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you next time. Ta for now.